Club swinging in India, Pakistan, Iran, basically all over Southwest Asia, usually means swinging something like these. So these clubs that I've got here are joris. These are proper Indian clubs. So if you were to go to Varanasi or Kerala and you were like, hey, I want to swing Indian clubs, they're going to give you some of these and they're going to chuckle while you try to lift them up. These, while being very similar, are Iranian clubs. They're called mil. Usually we see them online, it's going to be spelled M-E-E-L. So if you think like meals on wheels, that's what you're going to find. These you can tell are slightly different in morphology. They tend to widen out toward the tip, gives them a very different pull. Usually when clubs like this are swung, it's fairly simple swings. They start from this racked position, and it's usually just behind the back, internal rotation of the shoulder. Now this mimics natural striking motion. If I just put this heel down real quick, you can imagine this is the wind up and that's the swing. And when you see these used, they'll describe one as your sword and one as your shield. So if I swing with my right, usually the left hand will extend as if extending a shield, and then this is my sword. Usually in Iran, you're going to see these swings tight to the body. Sometimes you'll see them with footwork. I'm giving myself like this little 4-count kneel swing. Sometimes you see them in 2 counts, where I'm just popping back and forth. You also have what are called sweet swings. Sweet swings are basically like cool motions like this, kind of asynchronous. One club does one thing, one club does another. This is surprisingly dangerous, and I've given myself a concussion at least once doing it. So if you ever decide to get fancy with these, be careful, have a friend on hand. That's a great plan. Discussing Indian clubs, we move to these joris, which can be swung in a pretty similar way. I can use this off the body swing. When the joris get really heavy and really long, sometimes these can be almost as tall as I am. Then instead of swinging them from here, you'll often have them racked against your body. If you look at the competitions in India, they're usually shirtless because, I mean, why not? They'll oil up their shoulders, and then they're swinging with a contact swing, just like this. Now these joris are about 15 pounds. Doesn't sound like a lot, right? If you were holding a 15-pound dumbbell, you're like, okay, I've got this. Pass that around. Please don't try to swing it. Don't hurt yourself. It's about T-shape, where we're T-posing, looking cool. We're gonna do Y-shape next, which that's pretty straightforward. Now when anyone puts their arms like this, do you feel any pain in your shoulders or chest? Anything at all? A little bit of tightness? We're all pretty tight after this weekend. Reason I ask is if you have shoulder issues, sometimes raising your arms above the head can cause problems. That's why this is a swing you want to kind of work your way up to if you're doing a rehab program. The move itself is just dropping through that yin portion of the swing and bringing the club all the way around, that full front circle. You'll notice I'm hitting all those cues. When I hit T-shape out here, my fingernails are facing you guys. When I hit T-shape on the opposite side, the fingernails face the back. And if you look closely, as I bring this up, it's almost like I'm corkscrewing the club overhead. So I like to pretend, because I like to pretend that these are swords, that this is coming up and I'm stabbing upward. I'm kind of corkscrewing the thrust upward. Just move through this plane of motion a little bit. Really let the club drop, and you'll notice there's a pronounced yin portion of the swing, and right around here, there's a yang portion of the swing, where I have to put force into it. I have to actively counteract gravity. Your third, pin this, pivot on the opposite toe, and then let this drop. And let it just circle in the back 3 times. Once you've done that, pin this here, pivot on that foot again, and continue your full front circle. I'm going to kind of walk around and see how you guys are moving. Just play with that on your dominant arm now, and then we're going to switch in a couple seconds.
When you pivot on that other foot, that's our Gore's swing from the Ascend. Bam. That's our Gore's swing.
Do the move with both clubs, it looks like you're drawing a heart. Yay! My coach is a big dork, and he likes to joke that if he draws enough hearts around himself, maybe he'll love himself. I've suggested therapy. He hasn't taken me up on that yet. So, the thing that's cool about the heart shape is it gives you a metronome that you can use for all future swings. Rather than being this big one-count motion, you have a two-count motion. What that means is there's two gravitational drops. So from that Y shape, I have my first drop that brings me to parallel here. I then coil my arm like I'm doing the weirdest bicep curl ever, and the club is now in that hammer grip, facing off to the side like I'm going to stab coal. I'm then going to move from the shoulder as best I can, making a circle with my elbow, and I want you to pretend that you're a mall ninja and flick the sword out, just like that. And then we drop again. Here's that first count. We coil this in. We articulate from the shoulder, and then mall ninja. Drop, coil. When you're here, this should be just under your chin, so if I move my beard, it's just under there. But depending upon your mobility, it might have to be more in front, maybe a little higher. Just depends on how you're comfortable moving. Just drop, and it comes to Y on the opposite side, big mall ninja. Sheath the sword, flick out. Coil and throw. Coil and throw. If you want, see how I'm loading up my legs a little bit to do that? Do that a little bit. Feel it. Your body knows how to go. You know what? I'm just going to chuck this at somebody. I'm going to yeet this at Frank. That's the vibe I want you to have. When you come to this reflection, pretend that I'm bringing this up to the ears and I'm chucking it at somebody. We're going to attack the dagger people later. It's going to be great. Stay in this reflected position and just throw. Coil up and throw. Think casting into that Y shape. And then once you've done that a few times, come to that Y shape again, turn and reorient yourself, and then you're back to your heart shape. Go ahead and try that on your own a few times. I'm going to circle around and see how y'all are doing. We've done a heart shape. We have reflected both of these. And we've seen how heart shapes become throwing motions once reflected. Now we're going to learn purely fancy swings. These are swings that you can do to show off, which is my favorite thing to do. Not that anyone cares, but it's fun. But they also are useful, again, if you have a shoulder that's a little bit busted up, but you still want to keep swinging. So, for example, if I have shoulder impingement, deltoid injury, or that bicep tendon thing that I've been telling you all about, this type of swing can be a little bit problematic. This type of swing can be problematic. This will ruin your life if you have a shoulder impingement. It hurts so bad. But we can use that bottom rocker and all the moves that come from T-shape to still swing even if we're not feeling great. It's kind of like anything else. If your knee's busted, don't train legs that day. If your back hurts, don't do deadlifts. Like, please, don't do that. I say that from personal experience. So to give you a preview, from that T-shape, I can do all kinds of wild stuff. I can do these helicopter wrist rolls, and don't worry, I'll show you how to do them. I can do crescent moons. I can do waxing moon swings. If I really wanted to, from that T-shape, I can also reflect those same motions back and forth into continuous swings. So I'm going to run you through a sequence. It turns out you're just on the base, cool, mysterious, implies you have a fight. Guarantee you your biceps, everyone goes, wait, you. No one wants to hear that story. But your face is on that. That's 2, that's 3, freeze it in Y. Turn, let it come into the back corridor. I sheath the sword, and I yeet it at the person to my side. I sheath and yeet. That's a great band name. We're just coming up with all kinds of crazy stuff today. Again, this is a throwing pattern, a very natural human motion. And again, if you want to kind of bend your knees a little bit and spring up, that's perfectly fine. Then from here, freeze it in that Y shape, turn back. One more heart shape. Let's go behind the back this time. I'm feeling spicy. And then relax for 1 second.